There you are, Seba. Just let it record now. And then this way, when we finish, I could just send it over to you. And you can either YouTube it or however you want to do it.
Okay, there's another brother, Morpheus. Do you know him?
I heard of him before. Yeah, he could hop in here.
Yeah, I'm a send it to him, right? He's like you. He knows Islam inside. He lived in Saudi, right? But I'm just gonna send it to him because I told him I would, and then we could just get started. So let's just see. Compose Gmail. And if he pops in, that's fine. If he doesn't, that's fine. At least I sent it to him, right?
You could lead the horse to the water.
Okay, so let me just call him. Morpheus. Yeah. Okay, so he's not picking up. All right, he's not picking up. Okay, I guess let me just do one thing and then you could press, yeah, you could press record. Okay, great. So, great. You can press record.
Okay. We are recording now. ETE Imhotep Seni Senat Ankwas Tejat Uncle Jasanab Dua Henu greetings Seba Ausaremka, greetings family, sisters and brothers, and thank you for listening to another episode of Praising the Divine. I have my big brother Seba Reggie, who I respect. That's my guy right there, man. Seba Reggie is in the building. You know him as Brother Reggie. Probably seen him on shows like Sonetter, Amin Ra Squad, Dagger Squad. Seba Reggie, without further introduction, if you could introduce yourself to the people.
Ankwas Jag, Brother Reggie. That is the name that I go by. Other people on, you can find me on YouTube by Dr. Reggie. But Brother Reggie is my name. It's one word, Brother Reggie. Brother Reggie, right? It's got multiple syllables, but it's Brother Reggie. Today I am very excited and pleased to be talking to my brother Ausar-em-ka. There has been this incredible criticism that the people who are secular, like myself, we don't know what the Kemetic practices are because we have not visited their shrines and their work. So I'm with Ausar-em-ka, who is a practitioner, and today we are just going to talk about a few things about the secular and non-secular world, right? The secular and the spiritual or the religious world of the practitioners and the people who, the so-called outsiders, which are really not outsiders. So, good brother, peace to you.
Imhotep, Seba.
Okay, so you heard generally what I was talking about, right? I am of the secular community, meaning that I am not religious, right? Do you have a problem as a Kemetic practitioner? And what is the name of your organization, your shrine, your temple again for the people?
The organization is Hekin the Chair. Hekenu or Hekin means to praise. Necher means the divine or the aspect some people will call God or whatever the case. So that is what we do. We praise the divine. We give respect to our ancestors. We give respect to the things in the universe. we may talk to water, which will help a plant grow better. So these are some of the things we do because we're involved with nature and the Seb, the earth that created us. PraiseTheDivine.org is the website. PraiseTheDivine.org, not .com. And that's what we do. We deal with our ancestors on a regular basis, and we deal with nature in a way that other people may have forgotten how to do. And that involves some rituals, that also involves some real understanding of science.
Okay, so you are mixing Nile Valley culture, African culture, and nature and science.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is when you mean divine, is there something more special about you practicing than it is me, or is it knowledge?
Well, it's knowledge, and it's also know-how, and it's also a comprehension of the universe, right? So the Aku, the ancestors make a statement in the Laden Papyrus concerning what Amun is. The Greeks follow the statement when you look at Plutarch and Diodorus Siculus. They tell you that Zeus and Amun are pretty much the same. Amun creates Zeus. Zeus derives from Amun, from basically the spirituality system starting in Africa, going to Greece. What they say about Amun is that he is the universe, and that the Remech, the teardrops of Ra, the Egyptians, if you will, think that that's what the universe is. And when we go to science, it correlates because scientists will tell you that the universe is alive and it's conscious of itself.
Okay, so this thinking of the way the universe works comes through. Are you looking at through the eyes of the ancient Egyptian, looking at the eyes of science? How are you looking at this? Is it a particular calendar? Is it a particular? How are you looking at it, or is it just general observation of some things change and some things remain the same?
Some things remain the same in this particular case. So where I don't have to do any guesswork, I don't do no guesswork, big brother. I just pull out the text. So I know if I pull out the Laden Papyrus, section 350, and I start to go over what they say Amun is and how he got here, it's going to correlate with what science has today. The difference is it's going to have a mythos, a story with it, because there was no television in that time. So it's important to know what the mythos state. You mentioned calendar. So when we talk calendar, I can watch a moon cycle and give you a story about Heru having a battle and losing his eye. I can give you a story about Asar being fully membered, being dismembered, and his sisters calling him back to life again. I can give you a story by watching the equinoxes about Asar being passed and him coming back to life again. This is what we do with the mythos. This is another explanation for the science. The reason it's called pseudoscience is because it has a story, but what they did was factual, and it's the basis for where they made science from.
Okay, but the mythos are what they are. Are they real, unreal? Are they stories that correlate with knowledge?
Yes, there's stories that correlate with knowledge.
Okay.
You don't get a year cycle until you get a mythos about Sopdet. And Sopdet was considered to be Aset. And then we get the cycle. So the myth comes before the supposed science. It just becomes pseudo because it has a story time with it. That's all.
Or it becomes pseudo for the people who don't know the actual signs or the actual language of the information. So yes. If they don't have the knowledge base, then all they can just do is represent it based on what they think it is, right?
Right.
So so to get first of all, people don't know you, and they see this picture of Ausar-em-ka, and so they don't know you, and hopefully Black News 102 Star Netta Studios will have us on again or have you on again. But you have been to Kemet, correct?
Absolutely.
So
In fact, I got there. Let me see. My room is a little messy, but I had got to Kemet. Let me put this down. I got to Kemet because of you in particular. And when I got the chance to go, I basically, I went out there. I didn't really know anyone, but I speak some Arabic, so I was able to get around. I was able to meet some good.
Wait, hold up. You said you speak Arabic?
I speak some Arabic.
Oh, Brother Morpheus is on the line. Brother Morpheus, can you hear me?
I'm on that conference call. I'll just real quick.
Okay. Well, Brother Morpheus has traveled the world also, and he's been in Sudan, and he speaks Arabic.
Okay.
So I somehow I helped you to get to Kemet, right? Yeah, Brother Morpheus.
Yeah, what's up, brother? Yo, what's up, family? What's up, man? كيف حالك؟
كيف حالك أخي؟ السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
ورحمة الله وبركاته. I told Reggie before.
شكرا عفوا جزاك الله خير.
لا تكمل كتاخر جيدا. أحمد الله لكالنون. You know.
نعم.
So this is our team. So we have a multilingual team of people that examine the work that these young people do and that we do, right? And both of these brothers, all of us has been out of the country. All of us has been to places where basically Africans and Arabs are coming together, and most of the time in ignorance, right? But these two brothers, if you want to get on land in ancient Kemet, right, and deal with the inside track of what's going on, the politics, any of these two brothers to get you on the inside track of anything, any place in where Arabic is spoken, right? So Ausar-em-ka has been to Kemet. How long did you? So there's a lot of things that we want to cover, and so it's not like, and we don't have a whole lot of time. So let's just start here. Okay, so you're a practitioner, Ausar-em-ka, and you have a group, and that you teach the things that you say you teach from a Nile Valley perspective. Let's say a Nile Valley perspective, right?
Right.
And at some point, you hooked up with me, and I helped you get to Kemet, right? I fast-tracked you in getting you to Kemet, right?
Right.
And
door.
Huh?
I said you showed me a door, and I went through that door. That was
right.
A very nice door.
Yeah, it was a very nice, clean, and then you hooked up with the rest of the people, right? Absolutely. And so there's different doors that you can go through, but I put him through a particular door that he can go through. So tell us a little bit. That's the best way to introduce. Tell us quickly what happened in Egypt. What did you do? Where did you see? What did you experience? And then we'll come back at another show with the ritual. But just go in. Tell us about your museum experience. And you could read Medu Neter.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not the best, but you've seen me do it before, so I'm definitely not able to do it. I can definitely read it.
Well, we know who the slow readers are. We're not going to mention them, but we know the slow readers, right?
Right.
The ones where the whole crowd moves.
Right.
And
I can tell you this.
No names, huh?
With Seba Reggie, and you disappear while we're doing what we do. You shouldn't disappear. You should stand right in the thick of things. You should be able to break down the same things and say.
Well, let's just move past that, right? So let's get to the point of you touched down in you touched down in Egypt. Let's get it popping. What's going on?
So I stopped in Kemet. I don't know anyone. I booked a hotel that I didn't know where it was at. I just booked it. I was like, I'm just going. I just feel like doing me. And so I go and I start speaking to one of the gentlemen. The first thing that happens as we're waiting to get past immigration, they snatch some guy up that's from Egypt that was doing something incorrect. So I'm looking, you know, because I'm like, hold up, y'all got it's about to jump off right here in the, you know, and they grab him, lay him down, and he's like right in front of me. So so the guy asked for my passport out, and then I ball up my fist because I'm thinking like we about to get it in or something. And they're like, no, you're good, brother. You and I said, okay, cool. So I go past, I'm walking outside, and I say Assalamu alaikum about 4 times. And then this brother pops up, this young Arab cat. He says, hey, you're from the US. Are you looking for a taxi cab? And I say, yeah, I need a taxi cab. No, you go with my friend. So he puts me in the car with his friend. So me and the older gent, that's an Arab gent, he doesn't speak English. And at the moment, I'm thinking Medu Netra. And anyone who speaks more than one language, you know when you're thinking about one language, you're having a conundrum in another language. So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Brother Morpheus? So I had to sit down for a second, recall the Arabic because I hadn't spoken in a while. I wasn't thinking. Don't go to Kemet thinking everybody speaks Medu Netra. They speak Arabic. All right, and Egyptian Arabic in particular. Now, we're driving. We're going through the city, and he takes me to a spot because he doesn't know where the hotel is at either. And so we hit a spot, and I forgot they had just been in a war. So you got brothers with gutras on, and you got a guy, you'll always see Egyptian soldiers in a white suit, and everybody's got automatics, AKs. And so he says, hold on. I say, okay. So he hops out. He talks to the guy. The guy kind of gets a little gruff with him. And so I ball up my fist again, because if we're going to die, we're going to go out however we're going out, but we're going to make sure we have a good showing. So he gets back in the car, and I'm like, take me to go get a gun right now. He's like, no, it's okay. I said, what you mean? He says, nothing's okay. And he's like, no, we just had a war. I said, okay, everything's okay. So now I'm at, I'm okay. So we finally find our hotel. When I get to the hotel, the brother says this, the little dude, the Arab gentleman at the who owns the hotel, he says, that's the Egyptian price that's on the website. So he was going to charge me more. And so we get into a conversation. I said, well, you don't look Egyptian. You got here 640 CE. And he said, he says, no, I'm Egyptian. I said, let's do a DNA test. And everybody in the lobby starts laughing. And I say, how much is the American price? He gives me a beautiful discount. And so I'm there for 14 days. I think I might have paid $50, something like that. And I'm in a place where I shouldn't be. And it was strange because they were telling me nobody's coming to Egypt. You're like the first in a long time, and you're black, right? You're black, like from the hood black. And they know the difference, right? So they was like, man, this is amazing. And I was like, yeah, not really. So I go there, and then the cat.
Now you're speaking English or Arabic?
They're speaking mostly Arabic. Some of them spoke English.
Okay.
So the hotel looks deserted, and I have a video to show you the hotel is pretty much deserted until I come outside. It was weird. And so I go the next day, my cab driver meets me. He says, I'm going to take you to a friend of mine. I say, okay. So he takes me to a brother named Muhammad Gabber. Muhammad, shout out to you, right? And me and Muhammad sit down and we start to talk. And he says, so brother, what do you want to do? I said, I got to see it all. And so he invites me to his house. We eat some food. He tries to feed me to death. I'm like, I got to ride this horse. And so we go get on the horses. And my other partner just had his baby. Shout out to him. He takes me through a back way where you can see all, like, you're not supposed to be there. and I'm really the only one going at this time. It's like it wasn't a lot of people. It was strange. And so we go this back way. We meet a brother on the desert next to the Merkut and the pyramid, if you will.
So you're on horseback.
Horseback.
On the way to the Markuts, right?
Right.
And you're speaking English and Arabic.
Yes.
So give us some of the Arabic. See some of the conversation in Arabic. What are you saying?
So in Arabic, what did I say? First we got to the spot and they're like, is everybody here? I'm like, Naknufi Bait, which means we're in the house. We in the
just speak. Morpheus is there, right? So right. Morpheus, we'll catch up.
And so
you could say the words, you don't have to say the translation.
Yeah, I'd have to remember what we said. So, but basically we're going, and some people are saying dangerous stuff around me, and they don't know that I know that they're saying dangerous stuff around me.
Right.
Some people are saying good stuff, like, no, don't disrespect him. He looked like he could fight, stuff like that, right? So they don't know I can hear this type of stuff. So, and I don't worry about it, because if you try me, you'll know better. But we get out there, and my partner says, can you race the horse? I said, yeah, I could race the horse. And he gave me the hard-headed horse. And so he's like, come on. So we're racing, and I beat him. And then he's like, hold on. So he didn't know I was that endowed. So we go by the pyramid, and they have another partner. My buddy Muhammad Gabber, his father was in the war, real heavy name in the war. So he has respect around the city. So we go to the Merkut, and I climbed the Merkut probably higher than I should have. But they didn't tell me to stop till I got a little bit too high.
So you're climbing it from the outside or the inside?
The outside.
You're climbing it from the outside.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm outside climbing it, and they're like, whoa, because I'm up about maybe 10 bricks, 10 flights where the government may start to see me or something, right?
Yes.
So I come back down.
Right.
And so then I ride the camel. And as I ride the camel, it just everything started to warm up. Everything started to be good to go. It was a good experience. The other thing that was to note, when you're out there on tour where I was at, because I went in some places you're not supposed to go, there are brothers who want money and know you're a tourist.
Backsheaf.
Absolutely. And they know that there are brothers who may be there that shouldn't, they may not have a pass. Muhammad Gabber's name is good, it has a pass with it. So there's an argument ensuing with my partner and some guy who came out from Iraq. When I say came out from Iraq, he must have been posted there. Came out, they start to argue, and it starts to deter how I feel about the tour. Like I'm getting pissed off. So I asked him, I said, do I need to hop off this horse and stretch him? He's like, no, brother. And so I had to understand. Hold on one second, because the internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, Reg, I'm still here. Reg, let me do this call.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back on.
All right, brother Morpheus. So I do that, and then after I do that, we go into a few tunes. And I can tell you right now, a lot of people, when you go in there, they need money, right? They're restarting. It was a war. So bring a little pocket change, because if you endow them with a few dollars, they're going to show you more. You're going to see more. And so that was pretty much that day around the pyramids, around the Heru-Imaket,
So you just pretty much in pretty much in one day you got started after you touched down, and the next night you got fed, and then you started in the evening on the daytime.
Daytime.
In the daytime. Okay, so then you're moving around, and so you're kind of connected.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are so for you in your studies, this is a culmination of a lot of experiences. You're live, you're on the ground. In one day, you're right there at the Markuts, right?
Right.
You see the glory of ancient Kemet at Old, right?
Absolutely.
And so you see the legacy, and then you happen to be a brother. You happen to be if anything, Kemetui, and they're not Kemetui, but they own the legacy.
Right.
And so there's a certain kind of culture shock that you get because this belongs to your people, right? There was people like you and us who were the authors of this civilization, and then there's other people who actually control the civilization.
Right. And they tell me that. I actually experienced that at the museum, right? So the next day I go to the museum. And when I go to the museum, I see Zahi Hawas's his assistant. She's a doctor as well. And we go inside, and Brother Muhammad Gabber says, "Can you read that?" And I said, "Yeah, let's read it together." And so I read like a whole stela. He says, "You read better than..."
You're gonna have to repeat that. You're gonna have to repeat that because we're having some connection problems.
Okay. So we go in the museum, and I read a whole. We talk about reading a stela. We see Zahi Hawas's assistant. She's over on the side, and she has another person with her. And so he says, "Can you read that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Let's go line for line." And so I begin to read the top line. He did okay with the second line. I read the second and third line. He couldn't read the fourth line. He said, "You read it better than I do." I said, "Yeah, we probably about equal."
Okay.
So we did that, and I'd never been there. I'd never seen it before, but I was excited to be in there. I can tell you, we first walk in, we walk to the left, and as we go to the left, you'll notice that it's the older portion of Kemet, just so you know how to dissect the museum. And as I go to
Pre-dynastic Old Kingdom?
yes, Dynasty 0 and
Yes.
on. And so I go back
Yes.
there. I see a statue of Nes Amsu, and he wrote the papyrus he's famous for, where it describes how the coming into being is. I'm seeing a lot of us, right? Because that's us. I'm going through the museum. I get to the Ptolemaic era, or to the Ptolemy era, or area. Pardon me, I keep saying area. And then as I go into where the mummy room is at, my phone starts to go off, and it's flashing in my pocket. I don't even touch my phone. And I'm like, what the heck? And then I look down, I stop it. When I get home, I have a picture of Queen T in the coffin. This is a section you're not supposed to take pictures in. But I have her.
Right.
And the guard didn't get mad because he seen I didn't have my hands in my pocket or nothing like that. It just started to go off as if it was meant to be. Like, you need this picture. And it said, and so I ended up with her picture. So I have it. And it's funny because it takes a picture of her body, her face, and the card on the side of the coffin. Very strange. Give me 1 second, Seba. My brother's calling me. Give me 1 second, if I may.
So for our audience, this is the experience of Ausar-em-ka in Egypt, viewing ancient Egypt, and he is a practitioner, and he is my help him to get to Kemet, like I've done to a few others, like Brother Polite and some others. I've helped get them to Kemet, basically anywhere from 5 days to 2 weeks, spending an average on hotels and flight, really about for about 7 days, and then a little bit more for 2 weeks. But this is only for the people who don't need a a guide, someone that's going to tell you everything. This is for scholars, to get them, scholars who have done this work for years in the United States, and want an opportunity to see it themselves, and all they need is a backpack, and they get it done. And so a couple of people have helped get to Kemet this way. So instead of going on one of these tours, that some of them are very expensive, but for Ausar-em-ka, for the time that he spent, it wasn't expensive. So we left off with him. He's in the Cairo Museum, and he is telling you some of the things that he saw, and we are really gonna go back. So I want to try to slow the show down a little bit at this particular point. Yes?
I got company, man.
Okay, peace. So I want to, yes.
Brooklyn, you there?
Oh, I can barely hear you.
Brother Morpheus, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on, y'all.
Who is this?
What's up?
Xavier, Brother Reggie.
Oh, Brooklyn, what's going on?
Brooklyn's in the house.
Happy to be on.
Okay, so Brooklyn is also another how can I say Arabic speaker, right? And so Brooklyn is he's out of the country and he's in the country. And hey Brooklyn, say something to Ausar-em-ka in Arabic.
Taka, كيف انت وين انت من وين كيف حالك اليوم؟
كيف حالك أخي؟ شكرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف حالك؟ كيف أنت؟
عن جيد. وين تعلمت اللغة العربية؟ وين البلد؟
Sheikh Amjad, Sheikh Abu Turkey. You probably seen on the news because he had a.
No, I said what country? Wayne the Bellad, because I could try to speak the accent, the dialect. That's why I'm asking you what country? Mad Bellad, Wayne the Bellad.
Saudi Arabia, right?
Arabia Saudia.
Right. So he was Saudi directly. I don't speak. It's difficult for me to speak some of the Egyptian Arabic. It's a little bit different. You know, Palestinian Arabic is like cowboy.
Right. I speak فصحى. أنا أتكلم اللغة العربية فصحى. فأيهم هذا ليس مشكلة لي. فأنا أعرف قليلا هم لكن ليس أعرف قليلا الدارجة ولكن فصحى.
Okay. What madhab?
Okay, so for this particular show, we probably only have 10 minutes left. So Brother Ausar-em-ka was telling us about his trip to ancient Egypt, right? Viewing the structures of ancient Egypt and the temples and shrine and his education. Brother Brooklyn and Brother Morpheus are all three of these are my partners, right? And all of them are very, very interested in ancient Kemetic studies, and so this is how we build. And so you might have seen some of these brothers on a lot of the shows just chiming in. So and all of these brothers are well internationally traveled, right? Some of them more than me, right? And they have lived there. So we're trying to we're dealing with Kemet in the sense of modern day Kemet. So what I was trying to say is that Ausar-em-ka, he's actually a practitioner. And so what we are trying to get out of him is some of the things that go inside the practice based on the literature of ancient Egypt, not based on what people are creating, right? But based on the literature of ancient Egypt. Can I ask you a question straight up and down, Ausar?
Yes, sir.
From your vantage point, from all that you have seen, from your vantage point, right? Do you think the brothers who are and the sisters who are practicing today the rituals, from your vantage point, are they doing a good job, a fair job? What type of job do you think that they're doing based on the literature of ancient Egypt?
I'm gonna say right now the job is fair. It's not good because there's so much information right now. You should be able to, uh, if you run a there's certain things that you should be able to disseminate, understand, comprehend, break down, etc. Hold up, my brother with the iPhone. I'm gonna just mute you for a hot second because it's a lot of noise coming through there. So when we have that, for me, it's disheartening because what we never wanted this to be is for those of us who embark on a spirituality system, we never wanted this to be like where somebody would just hop up and say, oh, I'm a priest, and you don't have certain requirements that a priest has, right? There's going to be some things you don't have, but we also wanted you to be able to, just like a sheikh in Islam, right? You can't be a sheikh in Islam just by claiming it. There's certain things that you have to know, acquire, and understand. And that's the same thing with claiming to be any type of sim, wab, keri heb. I can't say I'm a keri heb priest if I'm not a mortician. That's what they do. So if you're running around, I'm a keri heb priest, and you don't have any morticianary degree, you've never buried anybody, you haven't even done what some of us who came out of Islam do, which is wash the body and wrap it in bandages. You haven't said the prayer over the person, or if that's all you've done is said the prayer.
Or you haven't even been wild. You don't know how to purify yourself.
Right. And
you don't know any of the wild rituals.
Right. And I'm just a wild priest.
Have you seen any of the wild rituals? People are performing rituals, right?
Right.
Do you see them in their kesu, which is the rites, right? Do you see any wild going on? Any natron, any sensing, any of that stuff? Do you see it going on?
No. In fact, we had a discussion about the term hekanu. And if you don't know what hekanu is, how can you tell me you're a priest when there's 7 sacred oils that are used, that we put on the natural statues, that we put on our bodies, that have not just a symbolic meaning, but a clear understanding of why we use them. And so when I see stuff like that, or I hear stuff like that, or where'd you get your practice from is what I have to say. And that's when it becomes, well, we made this up. I'm okay if you admit that and that's where you're going, right? But you have to, there's certain qualifications, right? If I'm a priest, I should at least be able to read some Medu Netra. I can't, maybe not all of it, but I should be able to at least read some Medu Netra. I should at least be able to perform some of my daily rites. I should know how to Nka in when I talk to my ancestors, right? I should know certain things. Not everything.
For the people, Nka in is the ka of, right? So what you're finding is that what you're sensing is that they're doing a fair job, right? And so we don't want to we don't want to put anybody down. But when you have the literature and you see the literature, right, then there's an enormous amount of the literature that tells you what's going on. And then you actually see a lack of that when they say, so lots of their criticism to me, and I know you have to go soon, is that come in and see what we do. You haven't seen what we do. Now, Ausar-em-ka, you've spoken to me in depth about my knowledge of the subject, right?
Absolutely.
Do I have to go in? If I go in, do you think that I'm going in and be a neophyte, a student, or do you think I'm going in and knowing exactly what should be done?
I believe you would know what's supposed to be done based off of our discussions. In most cases, I can't. You helped Dr. Ben.
So my whole thing is, if they invite me in and they're not reading any Medu Netra, right? And they are how can I say, in their rights are interesting, meaning I don't see I don't see the things. I don't see the natron. I don't see the oils. I don't see the things. I don't see them dressing the statue. I don't see any of these, any of the what they call the kesu, which is the rituals, right? I don't see these things, but because they say it's going to come, I'm supposed to be satisfied. I'm supposed to be hotel, right? Now, when it comes to reading the Medu-Neter, right? And you tell me how long did you have to go? Because we have to slow this down, right? We really have to slow this down. But tell me, or you just talk.
Right.
I don't want to lead you.
There's certain things we need to see, you know, like if you have a per ankh or a per ah, you know, your natural rule needs to be put in a certain room if you have the rooms. If not, it needs to be in a certain closing. I'm not going to hold you to putting a clay stamp over the top of it every time. You're going to unlock it and lock it. This is modern times. You don't need to do that. But when you see the Necharu's face, you need to say a certain formula. When you need to, you know when to kiss the earth. That's part of our ritual. You need to know the prostrations that are performed. If you don't know, you should be looking at things other kings did when they greeted our Nesubiti. That'll start to help you. There's other locations you need to look around so you can finish the daily ritual. There are certain things and requirements concerning washing that you should know as a priest. You should probably wash similar to the king. There's places for that. You should know the D-Hetep Nesu formula pretty much for the most part. You should know other formulas besides that. You should know hymns from the book a little bit. You should be able to talk to us. Because if I ask my brothers, I'm going to open it up for them real quick. If I ask my brothers, Morpheus and our brother on the iPhone, if I say, when you go into a masjid and you hear the khutbah, before you sit down, what are you supposed to do as a Muslim?
Hello, Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm on. It depends on which sect are you a part of.
Well, if you're Salafi Qadri, doesn't matter. When you first walk in, the first place you should go when it's prayer time, when it's time to make salat, we should wash up, right?
Oh, wudu, yeah.
Wudu, first thing. And if you don't have the water, you should make tayammum with the dirt. Second,
right, make wudu. Yeah.
When we walk in the masjid, I'm a former Salafi. You walk in the masjid, before you sit on your hiney part, you make how many rakahs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
The sunnah, you do 2, I believe, if you're talking about that.
Hello, just the basic stuff. We're good. We're on the same page. Now you sit down. There's a saying that if you don't say another word until you finish the group prayer, that the angels will remove your sins, etc., etc. What we get in America is that generally an imam will give a khutbah in Arabic, and then he will turn around and give it to you in English, depending on who's in the masjid. That's the masjid I came up in. Then we get up, and depending on the time of day, we either make 2 rakahs, or we'll make 4 rakahs, or we'll make 3 rakahs, or we'll make another 4 rakahs, depending on the time of the day. How y'all did it?
You're Salafi, so you guys are extreme, should I say.
Right, so you know I'm to the letter. I'm past the letter. But just basics, I'm assuming you guys do the same thing, right?
Well, the point of this is because we don't want to over-Arabize it, because then we're going to get criticism or over-Islamicize it.
I'm just saying this, Seba. When you go in the masjid, you know what to do.
Exactly.
If you come in my per ankh, you should know what to do. You should have an idea, because they learned from us, right? That's how it started.
Okay, so let's say I haven't been there. So I'm just assuming that they have stations that they do some type of wow, right? And they do some type of kesu, some common rites, right? And they also, there's a hetapu, there's a food offering, right?
Right.
And then there's a whole bunch of other things, festivals, and then there's the hymns and stuff like that. I'm assuming that they do most of these things, right? I'm just trying to bring the public into a practitioner, right? And to show some of the things that they'll be used to. Now, I want to ask you a question. Don't be upset with me.
No, go ahead.
Don't be upset with me. You being a practitioner, of course, you believe in Hekau, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the audience, Hekau is deified action.
Yeah.
Some people might say effective action. Some people might even say magic, right? Authoritative utterances, right? To bring about some type of action, right? I believe in the authoritative actions. I believe in the effective actions. I don't necessarily believe in the magic, right? That's not my practice, right? If you did believe in this, in the Hekau, right? What type of training? What goes with this? What goes with this?
So I did a show not too long ago. The difference is you have a Sanu. We'll use a Sanu, which is a doctor for those who don't know. A Sanu is going to give you medicine for you to take to heal yourself. But as they give you that medicine, they're going to remind you that you are Heru. Your mother Aset has commanded the poison to come out of you as if you were bitten by the scorpion. And they're going to nurse you in that fashion as they give you the medicine. And in the believer and the knower's mind, this will help you spiritually. This will call to account what you're doing and why you're here and why you need this assistance. And it will remind you who you are, which is to be an Ausar, and that will assist you in what you do. This is good because you see it in Budan, you see it in Yoruba, you see that when they put the electrodes on the brain of the monk, the Buddhist monk,
yeah,
evolutions than the scientist. And when you believe something, mentally, it can heal your body. It can assist you with the medicine that you take. And that's the difference between Heka and just science.
Okay, so again, you my brother, but you know.
I know you don't believe, but that's okay.
Huh?
I said, I know you don't believe, but that's okay.
I respect it. I respect it. I'm just letting you know, I respect it because it's your practice, right? And you're giving some insight into the practice, right? But so how much time do you have?
I have about 5 more minutes. We're good for 5 more.
Okay, so I think we should close for now, right? This has been I'm hoping that I can have a full interview, that this will give a full interview with Sanetta Studios where he may interview you, right? And so you could talk about what is spooky, what's not spooky as far as a practitioner, and what can be defended and what can't be defended, right? As far as any criticisms, because you know, I'm on the outside and I'm not very well liked in the Kemetic circles at this point. You know that, right? I'm not very, very well liked because because of my teachings from my teachers, right? And from my study and my knowledge that I make some critiques, right? And I really want somebody like Sanetta to get into some of the critiques that I made so that it's impartial. For example, carrying of instruments, whatever they be. What instruments are carried, right? What instruments are not carried in life, right?
Stuff like this. Absolutely.
So that's a censor, right?
Absolutely.
What things, without me being critical right now, what things are done, what things are presented in the afterlife, and what presented in the what you call the kesu, the rituals, the daily rituals, right?
Right.
What instruments are there, right? For people interested in this, but
hold up, Saba, the internet. There it goes.
Okay. Never wants to go with it.
Okay. So when you talk about stuff like what's on my neck right here,
were you speaking?
Yeah. When you talk about stuff like this,
Yes.
what's on my neck right here, these are amulets.
Yeah.
You have an
right.
You have an Ankh Unja Seneb, right?
Okay. So,
am I coming through?
Amulet.
Right. So when you wrap the mummy, and it's going to you know, the afterlife, and the body is going to the dirt, and we say ba our pet sa our ta soul of heaven, body to earth, then you wrap the mummy, and when you wrap the body, as they, you know, as we say, you say hymns and prayers on the bandages as you wrap them. You also may write on the bandages as you wrap them. You also will find amulets inside the bandages as you put somebody to rest. You will find certain oils on that body as you put them to rest. And we will remove certain parts from you. You will find.
Well, we can't write Medinecha.
Huh? Say that one more time, Saba.
Right, Medinecha. So because many of us can't read Medinecha, so we're not performing those rites of mummification, right? We're not doing any of that. People are thinking about it, but we're not doing any of that, right? Those are the things that you might think of for ritual purposes, and for those people that pass through that door of Islam, this is generally what happens. It's the washing of the body, the wrapping of the body, the oiling of the body is just automatic, right? We give it to the undertaker. We put on a nice little Kemetic shirt, right? Do some rituals, maybe put on the heart,
and that's
close the box.
That's the difference. So what needs to be done is a meeting of the minds so that certain things can be done. Because a Muslim can come here and do it. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you making?
Well, I don't know myself.
With the burial.
I think that's a personal decision. I mean, those in your society,
right? But if
maybe in your group, maybe y'all should come together, right?
Yeah. If it's personal and we're being personal with it, those are the things that need to start being done so that a community can take place. I helped build the masjid out here. I can help build the per Ankh out here. The difference is, are you willing to put forth the manpower to bring something to fruition?
All right, so you have to go. I'm interested to go a little bit deeper into some of the concepts around ancient Kemet, some of the science, and just to understand the differences. I want to, if people are like, people might say, "Who am I?" What I don't like is to have a body of knowledge, know where the material is, and to find people who are saying they're one thing and then actually either they don't have the information, they don't have the skill set, maybe they think that they have the skill set, but in my observation, I just think that a lot of what you call information is lacking. And I'm not trying to feed Ausar. I'm not trying to feed the spiritual religious community, right? Now, I want to ask you one last question in closing. Is this a religion or is this spirituality?
This is both. And this is why you know, when you know, because we have talks, this is both. Because we rely on what we believe, and what we believe is backed by knowledge. But if there's something that's metaphysical, it's not physically in front of you, is it?
Well, I don't know about that. You know who you're talking to.
Right. No, not you, but I'm saying per se, those who are watching and listening. If it's metaphysical, it's not. If I'm talking to myself, is that in front of it? Am I talking to anything in particular? No. So I'm talking to the energy that passed away.
You're talking to yourself.
Right. So if I'm talking to my ancestors and my
You're talking to yourself. I don't.
So if I'm talking to my ancestors from the past and I'm hoping that energy hears me, I'm going to call on that energy and remember the things that they left so I can get a lesson from them. Because if I'm talking about my mother and reminding myself about my mother, if she was gone, she's not, but my father is. If I'm calling on things from my father, I'm going to recall something he said to me. And then I can react as my father would have reacted, or I could do something my father.
Okay, so that's natural.
Right.
That's natural. For many of us, like Dr. Ben said, our parents are really our first gods.
Exactly.
And they become ancestral gods. Me myself, I try to recall. Then I might look at some pictures. I might go through some of her notes. Right? She might have left something for me that I never read. I'll go through my memories. But the fact of the matter is that what I have is evidence that she was here or he was here, right? And I have to rely on the training that she gave me. So look, you have to go. I have a few minutes with Brooklyn. I think he's still on the line, and Morpheus. But
yeah, I'm still on the line.
Ausar-em-ka, thanks. Hopefully we could get a bigger interview with Black News 102, and this is a warm-up to go inside the Kemetic shrines, at least from your vantage point, right?
Absolutely.
From a knowledge base, because you have decided that you want to let the community enter, right, in a knowledge base, instead of keeping things secret.
Right. Certain things are obviously, come in, or we not talking to you about it. It's none of your business because you do what you do over there. Just like a Muslim, just like a Hebrew, just like any of that. But for the most part, the superficial information, it should be attainable, and it should be easy.
Okay. Well, me, myself, good brother, until I see something works, right? What you're saying is superficial, right? Because I just don't see it working for our people, right?
I don't think anyone's really put their.
But I respect you, and I respect your work, right?
Absolutely. But you also respect Dr. Ben, and you also respect Dr. Leonard Jeffries and John Enrique.
Correct.
And they pointed you to Kemet.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yes, they for my purposes to be able to teach what I know and to unpack some of the text, right? But I am pushing back on that because it's easy for me to give people text, right? But it's also easy for them to take the text, right? Because many of the texts, you can only get it through hard research. You just can't, it's not on YouTube.
No.
It's not on YouTube, bro. Huh?
No, not
it's not. You have to go to a research library to get it, right? And I could tell that a lot of material they don't have. And watch this. Even if they have the material, how come they don't show the public? How come even the secular stuff has always got to be, they don't show it. So that's my, and I'm not gonna do the work for them. But I am happy that you're willing to talk to me, that I'm your brother, that I'm not unclean, no. Right? That I am not the names that they called, no. And I have helped you in your growth itself.
Yeah, you have to remember there are many atheistic mindsets in ancient Kemet. There's a story, the man with his ka and his ba, right? The struggle between the ka and the ba. There's another story. There's a king who dies and tells you the stuff you do for the Necharu, you can do for yourself. The same food you offer, make sure you eat. Plus, people don't know in most scenarios, when you bring the food up to, for the as they would do the the henek, the offerings for the ancestors and for the netcheru, that's food for the priests. The priests would eat that. And we know that from the text. So it's not like we can't pull out where the food went. It's not like we can't tell where. It's the first form of saying grace, right? And we do it so well, you know, they like to hold on to their ancestors. Simple.
So you hopefully, if we get another interview with Black News 102, we can go inside of the mind of a practitioner, how you actually think, and then maybe we can ask you some questions. So Ausar-em-ka, I know you got to go. I'm gonna hang out for a few more minutes and close out with Brother Brooklyn and maybe Morpheus, and then. But thank you, dua for your time. I appreciate
Indeed.
it.
Thank you.
Emitab, gentlemen, Emitab.
Yeah, man. Peace, man. Peace. I got the grandkids here with me now, man.
That's right, Morpheus. So I talked to Brooklyn for a little while.
Okay.
Peace, Brother Brooklyn. How are you?
Peace.
What type of what side of the world are you in? You in the States or you overseas?
I'm stateside. I just got to Houston. Yesterday.
Okay, wonderful. So you're one of the people. You come from a very strict Islamic background, without saying actually where, but you grew up speaking Arabic. Is that correct?
Yes.
So,
Didn't learn English till I was 9.
So you didn't learn English till you was 9 years old.
Right. So we were 9. Yeah. Most of us. Yeah.
Wow. And so at some point you became a little interested. So you've been. Where are some of the places that you have been internationally?
Mostly Eastern Europe, Qatar, Dubai, South America, Europe, Africa.
Okay. Any particular place in Africa?
Somalia.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
numerous times.
Okay. So we will. Okay. So tell us about Somalia. That's an entry point. Do you got about 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, I could do that. In one whole world, or in one whole word, if I can just simply say, it's Arabized, Islamatized. That's it. I mean, it's horrible.
Okay, but you come from that background, and so
yes,
you come from that background.
I come from that background in the United States, but it's very horrible because I can get into some of the rituals that they do, some of the barbaric things that they do. When you talk about clitoris mutilation that they do to the girls,
but is that Arabic or is that Arabic or is that African?
Well, like Dr. Clark used to say, you know, Black people, when it comes to spirituality, you know, we hold a crown. We can out-pope the Pope and out-Muhammad. So I think when it comes to African studying Islam or practicing Islam, they tend to do it way more extreme than the Arab would do it, especially when it comes to somewhat peace or peaceful way of doing it. And when I say extreme, I don't mean, you know, the other way, jihad word, the J word. I don't mean that kind. I mean more so like, you know, chanting, the praying, stay poor, don't get rich, certain aspect of it, they do it to an extreme. And Somalia is just one of those